Carrie, I just have a question on item 1. It looks like to cover expenses. What were the expenses that we were not expecting?
No, I don't know that there was anything that we were not expecting. It's just that there was more expended than I was expecting. There's plenty of money in the voter registration budget. It's just the election budget that was completed.
Okay. Thank you.
I move we approve the 2014-15 budget amendment. As presented. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Would y'all give a second? All in favor, raise your right hand. 4-0. Number 3, quarterly budget comparison to recognize the third quarter comparison report for fiscal year 14, third fiscal year 15.
Any questions?
I noticed that county judge's office is doing really well. We're up on everything, so you're welcome.
Don't break your office.
Carrie, I do have a question on page 11, juvenile probation. Roughly this time last year, they were at 50%, and now they're at 75% in terms of expenses.
We do quarterly payments, so it's just a timing issue.
Okay. And thank you for putting this together. I know this does take extra time.
On page 12, under capital outlay, fire department. Is that a new truck that we haven't bought or purchased?
And we're waiting on it to come in, sir.
Okay, that's what it is.
Okay. So recognizing more questions? So recognize. Vouchers to consider and act upon approval of the payment of vouchers processed by the county auditor's office for the period of June 17, 2015 through July 8, 2015. Check numbers 163042 through 163379 and wire transfers 567 through 575 in the amount of $2,845,920.70. Any questions?
I move that we approve of the vouchers as noted by county judge for the period listed.
Second for discussion. Okay. I do have a couple of questions. Page 11 of 44, check number 163206 in the amount of $68,201.25 for Architects. Carrie, can you tell me where we are in terms of our expenditures? I'm assuming this is for our strategic planning. That's this line item.
And specifically,
Of the total amount through this process?
I'm sorry.
Okay, I can follow up with you to get that.
I will send it to you.
Okay, that's perfect. And then the same page number, check number 163209, basic ID IQ. And it looks like the JP3 storm repair. Is this also an additional agenda item? I saw further down, David.
It's, you approved this a while back to replace the hailstorm in 2013.
This is the 13th.
It is, but the agenda item today is a change order to that contract to repair this additional wind damage that I presented to you.
Okay, so
The garage
The
doors.
garage doors that hold the damage.
okay. So the 88,000 is listed on here. It was the 2013 hailstorm that we have already received that insurance.
We've received a portion, yes. Well, once we complete the repairs, we'll receive a recoverable depreciation for that full amount.
Okay.
88,000. The monies today, I'm asking for the change order, we wouldn't receive any reimbursement because it didn't meet our $25,000 deductible for that occurrence.
Okay. And then my final question is page 15 of 44, check number 163250, extract systems, 26,000 roughly. The Ideal Shield software, what department is that for? It's just slated under general judicial.
It's for the prosecutor's package. It was the third-party software they needed to make the CUC product.
And that was included in the overall bid that was approved? Okay, all right. Thank you.
Mine's more of a statement than a question. Each pay period or each group of vouchers that we get, we have a tremendous amount of money that goes to court-appointed attorneys. And have we ever looked into public defense.
Oh my goodness, yes.
That's
For
more
years and years
expensive.
and years, it's more expensive than doing this way.
Okay. On that same note, however, we are still endeavoring to look into that precisely. I think we've spoken to the departments that I think the timing of that, because of the expenditures that you so related, I'm sure we're getting the bang for the county, but also for the clients as well. So that's something that I brought it up to this last week, so I think that's something that would be wise for us to get into.
Public defenders.
Yes.
Okay.
Who, Commissioner, just to follow up on that note, who is leading that discussion internally here?
We haven't gotten that far,
Okay.
it's just a temporary,
Okay,
to renew that discussion.
okay.
That's okay, I think we can fix it, though. I'm not sure if that needs to be on an agenda item or not, but, that's okay, we'll fix it. I'm glad to see that, commissioners that have caught that eye.
Oh, yeah, it's an ongoing problem, it has been for years and years and years, I don't know how many times we, every 4 years we look at it, and it is so expensive, so expensive.
The knock has always been, it's more expensive to run an office, to set up an office than it is to pay attorneys. I don't know, it's,
I'm all for it, we
this
can
is
do
a
it.
personal opinion more than anything else. I'm in favor. I think if it can be done, I think it'd be a good thing.
But here, we don't
It'd be a
get,
great opportunity for young lawyers to come and work for a while, even if they're just here a few years.
And I think we have the authority to set such an office up.
we certainly have the space, don't we? Okay,
Just a-
well, let's look into that.
So that we can put out, put back on the agenda and see how we can improve that discussion and maybe benchmarks, sites, what's going on, and see that. Now, we'll speak for the
Carrie, how would, just in terms of a thought, how would that, play out with the state supplements that we receive? Would it still be eligible?
There is something.
Okay.
We would still receive money from the state.
Right, and in fact, there may even be, more grants available for. Just the addition that we're receiving now.
Okay. Okay, I have a motion and a second, all in favor? Raise your hand. 4-0. Thank you. Number 5, insurance report, to recognize the insurance report from Kaiser being unusual or anything.
There's nothing unusual, but I did want to point out, the weekly claims run report on June 26th that's reflected here. I mentioned that last commissioner's court, that we would have the one single large claim that would hit. It is on the weekly claims report. That's why it is so much larger than normal.
How often does that big thing come in?
This one is not something that we've seen with any regularity. It's an outlier. And hopefully will continue to be an outlier.
One large, I don't know what they call it, claimant that we always have, that's always in our monthly deal.
This has nothing to do with the large claimant that we have discussed over the course of the last couple of years. We'll talk about that a little bit later on, but this claimant is a single incident that occurred, and hopefully this episode will have managed that condition. So hopefully we won't see large claims of this size for this claimant.
Okay, so recognized. Number 6, 7, and 8, Lynn, you'll step forward, please. Number 6 is the vote centers to inform the court that Potter County has received approval from the Secretary of State to implement countywide voting for the November 3rd, 2015 election.
Good morning, friends.
Good morning.
Yes, we received a letter from Secretary of State's office saying that we will be officially a vote center county starting in November. We have started sending out memorandums of understandings between the locations so that they know exactly what to expect, and we know that they know exactly what to expect, and and vice versa. So anyway, very excited about it. Do you guys have any questions?
Great, congratulations.
I'm so excited, yes, and to have a city divided by 2 counties having the same voting practices will really go a long way. So kudos to you in your department, because I know this was a lot of work. The only question that I have is the clause that's included on the letter,
Yes.
the DOJ pre-clearance. And I think it just listed, the last sentence on there is just informative, but I was interested to know what we were doing in terms of benchmarking. It states county officials must remain diligent to ensure discrimination does not occur as a result of the changes in the county voting practices and procedures. So I'm thinking back to our public meeting that Lubbock County participated in, and those that were opposed weren't necessarily opposed to the practice, but were just worried that some of the locations may prohibit some of the voters. So this in particular caught my eye.
Yes, and we took that in consideration when we started the plan. So we met individually with each of the JPs and felt like we brought every one of the minority interest groups to the table. If they couldn't make meetings, we made extra efforts to go out and visit with them. And so at this time, I feel like we have their wholehearted approval. Really of all entities here. We also had the county attorneys involved, and if Wade was with us to begin with, and then Janelle, and that's what they were specifically looking at, was making sure that we brought everybody to the table, and as we designed the plan, that it included everyone. But they also know that they've got to continue to monitor that for us, as we will.
Yeah, I just didn't know that if after the November 3rd election, if there was any type of benchmarking that would take place, the group get back together and really start to, and I know that you'll do this here in the office, but start to determine where the voter turnout was. And the idea is to encourage more people to vote, but at a minimum, you don't want to discourage those that already did.
Correct.
So if there was any type of benchmarking that would happen after the election to say, did everybody get to where they needed to?
Did it work right?
Did it work right?
Yes, and part of that is the survey that we're required to do. And so we're going to actually add a surveyor to each place to say, did you have you voted before? That's part of it. Do we have any new first-time voters? Was this convenient to you? Was it not convenient to you? Do you like the idea of having multiple places to vote? And did you choose to vote near your home, or did you choose to vote near your work, or you shop, or where you play?
And then in that same survey, will it include any ethnic questions so that you're able to drive down to this discrimination does not occur type of thing?
It can, it has, because we haven't done it yet. We actually get to design it, so if you want to email me a thought on how we would word that question, I'd be happy to include it.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay, so this is so recognized. Number 7, elections, order of elections, order that a liquor option election be placed on the November 3rd, 2015 ballot. JP1 to legalize the sale of beer and wine for off-premise consumption.
Yes, we received petitions. Well, we received the application, we issued the petitions, we received the petitions back. Because we were doing multiple projects, we did not count every single name. We counted to 1,800, which the requirement was 1,799. And at that point, I still had 56 pages of signatures that could have gone to it. So we feel very strongly that they reached the valid number of signatures in order for this to be an initiative on the ballot.
In other words, JP1 wants to drink.
They do.
Sell it.
Oh, they want to sell it.
Yes, that's it. So, what you have before you is the certification, and where I'm certifying that they did indeed reach the number of signatures, and then there is an order for a liquor option election that would have it run in with the November election of this year. This the legal time that would go in, because it's our standard general election for the year. And so I need you guys to order the election for the liquor option for JP1 to legalize the sale of beer and wine for off-premise consumption, which only affects a small part of JP1. Is it different from what it is now? And that is really the area around I-40 and Bell.
So you're talking Cash Savers, Safeco?
Yes, that would be correct.
Okay.
I move that we, the county commissioners, allow the order to place the liquor auction election on the ballot November 3rd, 2015. JP wanted to legalize the sale of beer and wine for off-premise consumption.
Wait a second.
Just one quick question, Judge and Julie, should the motion also include that there are a number of required signatures? I'm not sure if that's necessary for the motion or not, but.
I don't think it's necessary, I mean, unless, Dave, do you have any?
Okay.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, have a motion, second, all in favor, raise your right hand.
Well, then I just have one question, because we will be moving to vote centers for this ballot. I'm assuming your technology, depending on where the voter shows up, will pull the appropriate ballot to just vote on this, because only JP1 can vote on this.
That is correct, we will do that. Now, one thing that you guys may or not have connected the dots on is Judge Hannah just pointed out, was Cash Saver Plus was one of these behind that. And that is indeed at this time one of our vote centers that we had proposed for November. So they have a conflict of interest. So right out of the gate, we're looking for a new location for I-40 and Bell. I spoke to Chase last week and they ran it all the way up and said they just didn't feel like they could do it with their banking regulations. So I'm gonna be looking in that general vicinity right now. I think my next place to go look is probably Goodwill Industries.
That's what I was thinking.
It's right across that board.
Exactly. So I think that would be convenient to the voter and still accomplish what we need to accomplish.
Is there a good in and out, or is it really, really busy street?
That's the only thing I don't like about it is accessibility to get in is challenging. And that's why it was not my top pick.
What else is around?
There's a Seventh-day Adventist church at Eric and Bell, and so that's one that I could talk to. Donut Stop would open their doors to us in a heartbeat, but I don't feel like that there's enough parking there to accommodate a vote center on an election day. So I'm open to thoughts for accomplishing that one.
Okay. So, number 8, clarification of JP precinct boundaries, and voting precinct boundaries to resolve county mapping conflicts.
We have over the past couple of weeks, we've discovered that there's a discrepancy between the map that's posted that shows JP precincts and the map that's posted shows voting precincts, and they do not line up. And there's not a big difference, and we'll show you where they are. It probably doesn't come into play very much. And Melinda can show us, I brought the big map, so you'll have to bear with us. But bottom line is that we believe, after doing our research, that the map showing that the voting precincts is the correct map. And what happened is that whoever was doing the coloring in just miscolored. Went down, that was not us around here as our attorneys did that.
They covered outside.
So we're not talking about anything that needs to be pre-cleared out, even if we still had it pre-cleared. But we do have a little bit of a problem. It's right down here. Let's see. Yeah, okay.
Do you have the JP one?
Yeah.
This is that.
Yeah, you can see correctly. Here's the JP with the wind.
If you will look, I wish I had this. This building, in particular, on the JP map, it shows a line a block or 2 blocks that direction. And at the time that they did the voting, it was supposed to come here so that we could have a court for 2 and a court for 4 in this building. And it doesn't on
It
that
is
map.
not on this map, and this does, it shows that here. So this is the correct map. Now, what's there?
Then this little area, if you look, you can kind of tell this by shape. This little thing right here juts out.
Sorry, folks.
And that little thing right there, this one comes out a few blocks more. And there's a third area, and I wish that Judge Horn was here, but it's right in this area that we're off by a block.
Yeah, just a couple of
That we're
places.
aware of, just off the top.
Yeah, on this.
On this
Yeah,
map.
this map is correct. So basically what we're
And
saying.
what's on the website?
Actually, both of them. That's the problem.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
This is the one though I would say most use because it's the JP lines. And maybe that's not fair to say, but when people ask me for a map, this is where I'll direct them to, is this one.
And in reality, they ought to be, they're identical.
They should be identical.
So, sparing as much expenditure as we can, what's the option?
I only think all we gotta do is, excuse me, just remove the other map, and just replace it with this one.
right,
So it's an easy fix.
well, this week we have to remove this one and get it recolored, and this was created by Bickerstaff, so we're hoping that they have their map color still, so they can just fix it
Yeah.
for us.
So how much of those all been dispersed?
How much more?
How much of those now? They all have-
Oh,
Yeah.
since 2011.
However, the fact is that this has just come up a couple weeks. I mean, the only time it would come up, it would be if someone had a question about their voting, and someone was, and the reason it came up here is because, people were wondering where to file a civil suit in a which JP court, file in JP one or the other. And so that's why that's when we first noticed it. So it hasn't, there's only just a couple of blocks variation, so it hasn't really been factored.
No.
But
But we field
but it needs to be corrected.
questions
Yeah, we do get
we
questions.
feel that in our office all the time as to which JP do I belong in, and so we go to our state side, we clue it into team. And then that's what we tell the voter, and it just so happened that Judge Horn called one day, she said, well, I'm looking at the map, and it says that it's over here, and I said, well, I'm looking at the map, and it says it's over here. Well, what date's the map? 2011?
Yeah.
So she brought her maps down, and we went side by side, and indeed, we did have a discrepancy.
So do we need to update those to 2015, would that be helpful?
I think you just, whatever you do, I don't think that makes that much difference. We certainly can, but, I mean, just as long as we make sure we got the right map.
Because I noticed it during my campaign, it was off.
Yes.
When this was set, are we supposed to set these after the 10-year?
When they did redistricting, yes.
If it was set legally. So the correct one, that should be the one that's right,
Correct.
not this other colored one that's wrong.
Right.
Yeah, right, exactly.
So what do we have to do
So we're gonna try to get.
legally to
bigger
make it
steps.
right? Because
Yeah, that's the question.
it's legal to me already on the,
Because they accepted both maps, is what you're saying.
well, who accepted both names?
Oh, Commissioner's Court.
Really? That was before my time.
Mine too.
Mine too.
However, I mean, you did on basis, I mean, what this map is a summary of this incredibly detailed, information that's set up actually by census blocks. And if you really wanted to spend some time, you'd probably go in here and look at all the census blocks and make sure that the right census blocks were in the right place. And you have to do that, you have to go and look at the order, which what we have a copy of. Well, that's one way to do it, but we'd be absolutely sure, but that sure would take a lot of work,
But-
a lot easier.
Yes, but common information memory said it's the map that goes with, that involves this courthouse. And that would be the one that should be the correct map.
So the one online that you direct people to is correct?
Yes, that is correct.
So you're just gonna call Bickerstaff and see if they can modify
The
the
JP map,
JP one?
correct.
So the bottom line is, it's most, of the two maps, it's most important for voting. So
Do we need to
that's-
vote on this today?
Yeah, I would like you all to acknowledge that, so we to approve, I'd say a motion to approve, to recognize that the map posted showing voting precincts in Potter County accurately reflects the action in both the voting precinct and JP precincts and previously taken by the Commissioner's Court.
Did you get that?
Yeah, did you?
I'll give it, it's something along the lines.
Yeah,
Okay, ditto what he said. Okay, who wants to make that motion?
I'll make the motion.
Okay.
I make a motion that we modify the JP map precinct boundaries in accordance with the voting precinct boundaries to resolve county mapping conflicts.
Is that sufficient?
Yeah.
I second it. We have a motion to second, all in favor, raise your hand. 4-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, number 9, Veterans Highway, do you hear a report from Jack Barnes, U.S. Navy retired,
Thank you.
regarding the renaming of State Highway 335 to Veterans Highway, honor local veterans?
Good morning, Your Honor. Thank you, Commissioners, ladies and gentlemen in the audience. Thank you for the opportunity to speak on behalf of the 20,000 veterans that reside here in Potter and Randall County. As citizens, we have the privilege to honor the men and women who serve our country in the United States military. We live in the land of the free because the brave men who are serving, who have served, and sacrificed so much for our country. On behalf of all the veterans in Potter and Randall County, I respectfully request the Commissioners Court honor our veterans by submitting your unanimous endorsement to Texas Department of Transportation by renaming the Loop 335 surrounding the city of Amarillo as Veterans Highway. Please note, if approved by the Texas Department of Public Transportation, there will be no expenses incurred by Potter or Randall County. And I would simply like to close with a quote from former President Harry S. Truman. Our debt to the heroic men and women in the service of our country can never be repaid. They have earned our undying gratitude. America will never forget their sacrifice. I'll be glad to answer any questions that the commissioners may have regarding this particular request.
Thank you, Mr. Barnes, very well presented.
Thank you.
Certainly, I'm always enthusiastically support the veterans in any way we can, and that seems a very small-minded presentation to do. Have you visited with the DOT in regard?
Yes, sir. I've been visiting with Mr. Johnston extensively about this issue, and he has told me all it takes is an endorsement from Potter and Randall County, and he would absolutely recommend approval for submission to the TxDOT Commission. They meet monthly, and of course, my idea was hopefully we could get this confirmed and done by Veterans Day so that we can make that announcement on that very special day. And he did point out to me, if Potter and Randall County endorse this to TxDOT, they will cover all the expenses in producing the highway. So such a check.
So what about Randall County, have they done it yet?
I'm waiting. I think they're waiting on you, and I think y'all are waiting
I'm
on
waiting on
them.
them.
It's a vicious circle. But yes,
All we need to do is just
Say it's
give
okay.
support. We
Yes.
support it.
Do you have anything that would reflect that we are doing this? There's nothing here to sign or document?
no, just a proclamation or whatever y'all do to extend that recommendation to TxDOT would be fine and sufficient to the TxDOT engineer here.
So resolution takes on.
A resolution, yes.
So it'll just say Veterans Highway?
Veterans
It's not gonna have a
Highway,
veteran's name, just a Veterans Highway,
Veterans Highway.
just that
That's
portion.
just that name.
You're talking the entire loop though.
Yes, sir. Randall and the circumference, right?
I'm interested in the site selection, so is there a reason that Loop 335 was selected as the proposed?
Well, you know, I
route?
travel all over the state, and I was in Kerrville about 2 months ago, and I was driving around their loop, and I saw Loop 574 Veterans Highway, and I thought, oh my gosh, here's an opportunity to honor thousands of veterans in our own community who have served and sacrificed and are certainly worthy of such an honor.
I just didn't know if there was anything in particular about the loop that you saw as memorial of some type, a name for that.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
I think it encompasses all four various projects. Since Dave is back, Dave was looking at item 9, Veterans Highway. Anything we're looking to approve for approval, accept to
A resolution.
resolution how would that work? Would you take a resolution or just the letter?
Probably so. I'm trying to remember how the procedure went for establishing that. I mean, certainly a resolution would kind of express kind of the feelings of the court without making any kind of commitment to doing that. So yeah, I would think a resolution.
So if we approve this today, we can do a resolution next week, or can we just do a resolution during the week and be done with it?
That depends on what you want to do. I mean, we can draft up a resolution for you for the next meeting. If you'd like us to do that, I think some things we provided, we've got plenty of other guidelines.
Yeah.
So if
Is that
you want to pass
satisfactory?
it and have us draft up. we have to-
Is that good for you? Okay. Is that good for you?
Absolutely.
We'll do that next time.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We want the resolution though, saying please support it.
That's correct.
Yes, sir.
Okay, number 10, radio tower lease, Bushland Independent School District Sheriff. Consider and act upon approving the lease allowing the sheriff's department to locate a radio antenna and related equipment on BISD property.
I think we're okay.
You got it covered.
Yeah, I think we're ready to go.
The cost of all this is covered under 911. They'll take care of the cost of it. The only cost we'll have is the $25 for electricity running out each month, which will take out of our radio budget. The issue right now is we don't have any, our guys have no walkie-talkie traffic out there. And so it's just something that's needed for safety.
What about starting that, Sheriff? I didn't know what it was.
Right now, we're just waiting on this equipment.
So we just wait and then do a signed agreement?
I've got it.
Oh, okay.
I have 2 signed agreements from Bushland already.
Okay.
I just need our signatures on it.
Okay.
So, yeah, they don't even have a date on it, but he's ready. They're okay with it, and they've gone through their school board and everything.
Excellent.
Jason, the only question I have in terms of technology and any support, anything on our end, I'm hearing we're kind of hands off, but I want to confirm that.
Hands off, that's a good word.
Okay, all right.
It shouldn't affect anything with the IT.
Okay. And then Sheriff, just to make sure I understood, the primary purpose of this is for the radio communication,
Yes,
the
ma'am.
handheld radio communication? Okay.
The guys get out of the car and they try to talk on the walkie-talkies with him.
I move that we approve a lease allowing sheriff's department to locate a radio antenna and other equipment at the Bushland Independent School District.
Have a motion and second, all in favor, raise your right hand. 4-0. Number 11, town of, is that right? Town of Bush, subdivision plat, release of interest in undeveloped roads and alleyways. To authorize the release of any county interest in the following tracts appearing on the subdivision plat of Bushland. A tract between block 52, 54, and between block 52 and block 53, and a tract of block 35, First Baptist Church, Bushland.
I think it would almost be cheaper for us to just go ahead and incorporate the town of Bushland, and so they could take care of this. But we've dealt with this issue before, I'm kidding, of course. There are, and we've actually dealt with both of these tracks before, but if you've ever looked at the town, at the plat for Bushland, or the town of Bush, as it's called, it has a bunch of roadways and alleyways that were dedicated, like any subdivision plat has, but they were never developed, and those are always dedicated to the county, but if the county wants to take it over and maintain the roads, then we accept it. And most of those were never accepted by the county, and so they still appear on the plats as roads, but in most cases, there's not even a visible road there anymore. People have built on it, and what we have here are 2 tracks where we had requests from landowners who have tracks with either an alley or an undeveloped roadway on their property that they would like us to release. And the way we've been dealing with it the past few years is we have no legal interest in it as a county whatsoever. All we have is a right to develop a road there if we wanted to. So once we don't want to develop any more roads in Bushland. So all we're doing is releasing whatever interest we have in those roads. And so one of those is the First Baptist Church in Bushland, and they have a tract, and I think we've actually released some property on block 35. We've released all of that anyway to them, except for this undeveloped alley, which I think was just overlooked by them. And then the other tract is a new tract that they've just purchased adjoining their property. The alleys and roads mentioned did not appear at all. The other one is a request from Thomas and Israel Engineering. They've developed this tract here on the, and I in fact refiled a portion of that plat on behalf of a client of theirs, and so right in the middle, and I think we've released a portion of this tract already, but right in the middle is another undeveloped alleyway they've asked us to release interest to. And so they've provided me with a full, complete legal description, which I've given there. So I'm just asking that the court release our legal interest, if we have, whatever interest we have in those two tracts.
Commissioner Church, would you like to add anything since that wasn't?
My precinct,
Yes, sir.
I kind of like Dave's idea. That's inappropriate.
Yeah, seriously.
Really, seriously, they're gonna have to really consider that soon, because it's getting so big. It's getting, I don't know, I doubt it.
We have many questions, we get more and more questions that have to do with city type things in Bushville. I mean, questions about noise regulation, pollution, I mean, you name it, road, streets, I mean, they may get to the point where they really do need to.
Seriously, push that all down.
Unless we want to spend a bunch of money in there one of these years, because it'll be a serious drainage problem. I don't see a problem with letting these go. They're all undeveloped. They just look like it's part of the property that's already there. So I would say that we have no, as a county, no desire to ever develop.
Sebastian, is there anything that you want to add to those being proposed?
I'm all for it.
So, yeah.
I need a motion on both A and B.
Sure. I make a motion that we release the interest, the development of the road and alleyways, and authorize the release of any county interest in the following tracts appearing on the subdivision plat of Bushland for both A and B of the state items on the agenda.
Do I have a second?
Second.
The motion and second, all in favor, raise your right hand. 4-0. Thank you. Item 12, Potter County Stadium. To hear a report on improvements at the stadium and consider an act on a proposal from the leasing for needed improvements and repairs. Stephanie, you want to come on up?
Morning. Michelle Kidd, email.
Yeah.
Everybody should,
That actually might have been, is it what you, is it sent out it? Yes.
This is the one I printed this morning when I
Yes,
got your
and
email.
then there's actually
You added,
some things for things that we were talking about later on that might, in the next couple of years, we'll need to make the improvements on. So, the repairs that we have done, we've been working very hard in the off season, and during the season to, the Potter County Stadium. A lot of the locker rooms, a lot of the improvements, are unseen to the public eye. I will be honest with you, it has not been unseen in the league's perspective, and people coming in, I guess we get surveyed by the people that come in from, for our opposing teams, and they have much been complimentary of what we have done. Whether it's our locker rooms, whether it is our playing surface, but we are trying to improve everything. They are very complimentary of the lights, and we are very thankful for y'all's voting to help us improve the lights too. But like I said, we've done anything from a lot of surface for the stuff for the playing surface, but the locker rooms, but a lot of improvements still need to be made. Do y'all have any questions?
I do have one question, Ms. Tucker, just in terms of what's on the agenda of what your request is for us to approve the
Yes.
improvements. Which document are we looking
The
at?
first one, the first one.
The one you presented to us
Yes,
today?
the first
Which is
document.
the first page.
The actual, yes, the repairs done to Potter County Stadium. The first page.
And so the total,
Total improvements that we have put into Potter County Stadium is $241,700.
I just want to make sure I was following the right
Yes,
document.
yes, absolutely.
While we're looking at this, Mike, do you,
No, I've got a problem.
Okay,
I visited with Ms. Tucker out there. She was supposed to present your improvements to us of what you and Nick agreed upon. Anything beyond that, I'm very unaware of. To this day, we've not received anything in our office on any improvement out there that you directed Ms. Tucker to do to our office. So the list you're looking at, I cannot tell you what's on. And I don't,
We personally went out there and went over.
okay, is that exactly what we
Yes,
talked
yes,
about?
sir, absolutely,
Okay.
yes.
But let me,
Still on the same list.
let me step in as sort of a mediator here. I think we've talked about that last week, and we discussed what kind of proof you guys needed to, to see to prove. So I don't see this as being presented as, this is what we've done, and you guys need to understand. I think her point is, she's done a lot of work out there.
We don't want to go we
So
felt like we've
she's not
done,
trying, she's not trying to bypass.
no, we don't want to go over and above anymore. We feel like we've.
So, right, so
Yeah.
the question is not whether we're approving the improvements made today, and there may be some on there that
Are
will
not.
not be, because they
Right.
can't be documented.
Right.
So, I think her point is that she's just done some work here, but she's not trying to. Will we eventually see this? Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
We are just trying to let y'all know what has been tried to done. There's a lot needs to be going on. We feel like we've met, our obligations, especially the first year, if not the 3 years. There's a lot of things that still need to be done. But there's a lot of things that are out of our realms that we can continue to do.
so Ms. Tucker, just for today, you're providing this information to us in terms of information that these are the improvements that were done, but not necessarily asking for our approval of all of the improvements, but you want to give it to us so that we can start
Absolutely.
to move along
Start.
that process.
Yes, so y'all can kind of see what we've done. I encourage every one of y'all to come out and look at the improvements. I know that Commissioner Church, I know that Commissioner Marcy came out Friday, so I'd love for y'all to come out and look at it. And there are some immediate improvements that are not listed on here that are needed to be done, that I would ask for the court to come and look at this list. Yes, and actually, one is during this last major storm that we had, the condemned press box is losing its roof. It just immediately happened. That is something that I just noticed yesterday. So those are some things that we needed to happen. And then a couple of things with the grease trap, which that is actually something that facilities, Mike has helped us do and come up with an estimate. And I'm very appreciative of that. So if we can get that accomplished, would be very good. The roof is leaking. Some on these improvements that we have made is very disheartening because we put close to $30,000 in each of those locker rooms, and the carpet is getting to be, where it's going to be ruined very soon if we do not make those improvements on that roof.
So what you're asking for today, that you have in the form of an estimate, is help with the grease trap,
Yes.
which is approximately $2,600, and it looks like a Potter County vendor has provided that estimate.
That total is not correct.
Okay?
Understand this total of $2,990, that's at the county's cost since they're our contractor. If we hire, if Ms. Tucker hires them, it's probably gonna charge them.
I think that's what she's asking for, is that right, Ms. Tucker, for Potter County? And it's 2,000, Mike, can you give me that number?
$2,990.
And Carrie, for the stadium budget, can you tell me where we are in that budget?
There's $341.
$341.
So the clear report of that, over and above the 341, where is that,
That would have to come from contingency. Mike, I know we tried to touch base on Friday, there's not any other,
We have no-
facilities accounts
No,
to
ma'am.
offset, okay.
And any money we have in there, please leave it in there, we still gotta make it through to the end of this budget year.
And so for our contingency, how much is in that, Carrie?
We have about $350,000.
350.
and do we know that, other than the green that you just spoke to, only, is there any other thing that listed that,
Yeah, the three other items there, I think, are the immediate, the roof's fixed for the locker rooms, the door for the home locker room, and then the lights repaired. But I think at this point, and please keep me honest, Mike and Ms. Tucker, that we don't have quotes for those, so we can't do anything with that.
What are the quotes? What are the requested?
The roof's fixed for the locker room, the ticket office, door for home locker room, and then lights behind home base. So we don't have any quotes or anything we can take action on today, so for today, we
First
need
I've
to
heard
push
any
that.
quote.
so I guess, have a meeting of both entities, we need to get together on this, and, like it should be, part of
I
that.
heard something mentioned about the old press box, the roof coming off of it.
It just happened.
Okay. Make you aware, all the electrical for the entire stadium goes from ground level to press box back down, so you're gonna have to pay an electrician if you remove that press box to remove all of the electrical from that elevation to the other elevation.
So we need to get the mic on this, all statements
But I think, oh, sorry, go ahead.
questions.
I would encourage everyone to go out to the stadium and take a look and come back and tell us if you're proud of that facility. And I am, no, I've been out here, this is starting my third year basically on the commission, but we have neglected that stadium. I don't know why anybody rented it. Either we're gonna have to tear it down, I think, or we're gonna have to just start putting some money in.
We've been putting money in that stadium for the last 35 years. I mean, literally, every
$12,000 in
year.
the budget is not putting money in that stadium.
We've been repairing.
Well, I think that goes a long way with the commitment, and, Brian's aware of the commitment with what, and I agree, I think it's a historical and it's an ideal location, I think it serves a great, to the community, but just across the street, we've got some other issues that we're dealing with, so it's a matter of commitment, where we're going to be in regards to this stadium, and the city development continues on with their doing, and I think that's the big issue.
Whenever we took possession of the stadium back, the court directed me to go back out there and perform an assessment. I brought it to the commissioner's court on 2 different occasions. At that time, I asked the court for $3.4 million to allow me to go out there to finally once and for all fix that. But do not do baseball for a year. Certain members of the court at that time did not want to see that happen. They wanted baseball to start right then. So that's why the county has never jumped out there and just put a lot of money into that stadium. For y'all that may recall, after that, we got some other people come in. They were willing to put in $1 or $2 million into the stadium. That issue never went in there.
And I feel like this discussion really obviously goes hand in hand with the downtown discussions and the future state of that. And so I'll give my update on the LGC agenda item, Judge. But I think for today, the most immediate need is the grease trap, which is roughly at $29.90. And my question to Dave would be, one of the items that we discern as we approve these is whether this meets public interest and that we're maintaining our property. I felt like that did meet that criteria.
And I'll be honest, I'm pretty conservative about what I want to spend out of the Tri-State Fairgrounds in general. However, in this particular case, I think, I can't remember if I mentioned, I used this language, I think I sent an email out where I used the language, it's kind of like, it's similar to me, like a landlord renting out an apartment that didn't have running water. You know, in other words, you have a facility that's going to be used, whatever the fate of the downtown is, and this facility is either going to be continue to be used or it's going to be knocked down. And you're going to continue to use it. This stuff that needs to be repaired needs to be repaired anyway. I mean, you got to have you know, you're going to lease it out or use it for some facility that needs a working concession stand. You know, and lots, and you know, so I mean, so I'm comfortable with many of the things, well, at least certainly with the emergency items, it's ultimately your decision, but legally, I don't think there's a problem with spending those funds. If you choose to do so, it's a budgeting issue more than not a legal issue.
And where we're gonna get the funds for this, the $3,000?
Yeah, it would be contingency.
Well, and it's more than that. You're talking about the grease trap, but what I'm hearing also with fresh bonds and then
Yeah, but she has no price on that, right?
I understand that, right? I think that's something that we'll set somewhere and look into. So that, I think that's included in the package.
And Mike, if you're willing, I'd be willing to work with you directly to move on those, to at least get some bid points so we as a court can decide.
So we need to get a cost on removing the old press box from top of the stadium.
I think just fixing the roof at this point.
But we need to look and see.
We need to look at it, the integrity it can have, I mean,
Sure.
that can happen up there.
Sure.
Because the electrical is involved. Yeah.
And then there's a door on the home locker room that probably just needs to be replaced. It's the north, facing north, if I remember correctly. And there is water seeping through, I've seen that, so.
Doors are rusted out.
And this is the deal, I'm the lease owner for 3 more years. And so I've put money into this. I have made a commitment to play out there for 3 years. I have put money, personal money into this. So for y'all to keep saying y'all's commitment is not holding on to what's going on downtown, is please understand, it's somewhat of a slap in the face to our organization. Please understand, we are committed to bringing baseball in Potter County Stadium to a standard that we want to be associated with. So we really want to make this, and we understand y'all's hold too. I mean, we don't want to put money where, you know, something's not going to be done, but we want to be smart about it, and we want to be smart about it too. But putting $60,000 into a locker room that is now possibly fixing to be ruined is heartbreaking.
Yeah, and I certainly appreciate your concern and your passion in this, and I think the court understands how much commitment you have had to this since you've been a lease owner. However, I agree that, again, whether this court is going to commit to it, I'm for one leaning toward that commitment, because it is our stadium, and it is something that is historical, and it will serve a purpose moving forward, if that's what our intentions are. So I would like to see Mike get out there and look at all of the issues of concern, not just to put a Band-Aid on it, but if we're going to move forward and have a commitment for the stadium, let's see what we're going to be up under as far as the expenditures.
You know, Stephanie has done a great job back there. She continuously works out there 7 days a week. In order to bring this stadium up to standards, somebody's going to have to help out, if that is the county's desire. If court wishes, I could go out and perform a revenue assessment. I'll be very similar to what it was the very first one I performed. At that time, I gave a priority level. This needs to be done before these other items are due to liability, safety, and stuff like that.
I think that would be great in terms of level setting. Those conversations have to happen anyway. That will go directly into my follow-up on the LGC that I want to bring the court on. But in terms of the most immediate that Ms. Tucker is asking for, I don't want to lose sight of that because she is playing ball there currently. The final to that list, Mike, was the lights behind home base. So in terms of most immediate need, it would be the roof that we talked about, the door, the home locker room, and then the lights behind home base. And then kind of going hand in that is this assessment that you're talking about. I think that's important.
Grease trap was that?
Yeah, but I'm prepared to make a motion on that today. For the grease trap.
Because we know the funds.
because we know the funds. And so I would follow that with a motion to approve repairs for the grease trap in the amount of $2,990, funds to come from contingency account.
Second.
I have a motion and a second, all in favor, raise your right hand. 4-0.
Thank you guys, appreciate y'all's help.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Okay, parking lot. Santa Fe Building Agreement with AT&T. To consider and act upon approving a written contract with AT&T for use of parking spaces. Dave, I still don't, did you bring that?
I did, I thought I did.
I don't have it, but that's okay, you can get it to me, it's the same one we did last time, it's just a draft.
Are there any details that changed?
No, I talked to Deidre, the boss over there, she came over and we talked, she agreed with everything we said. And she agreed that she would do the lottery to choose the people who were gonna to get to park there. So she was fine with everything. She will collect the money, bring it to the treasurer or the auditor every 3 months. It's $10 parking, $10 a month. So it's $30 every 3 months. She agreed to all that. She's very thankful and she understands that in the event that we need that, we have 30-day notice to get it back.
So basically, she had no changes in her.
She had no changes. She just wants the stickers.
Okay.
And you and I need to come up with a design for that, and we purchased about 30 of them or something, so.
And then Judge, she was also in agreement that if we get taxed on any portion of that property, back to Sherry's concern, she brought up that cost sharing would be passed to them.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that was,
Yeah.
that's a good question. Yes, that was part, of an explicit part.
She still wanted me to pick the people, and I said, absolutely not, you will do that yourself, just pick a name, so.
Oh, absolutely.
So anyway, if we can get that done, and I'll sign it, and
I'll
get that,
finalize
so we
that.
can get a motion to,
Again, I thought I'd sent it in, I apologize.
That's
I probably got it.
this is no different,
And
so.
what about the enforcement? And if I remember correctly, there was a question on who would enforce if someone parked in the spot but didn't have a sticker and what that process would be like. Is it just, we're
I
doing?
believe that's John Coffey.
We
He's
work on
shaking his
enforcement.
head, no, no,
No, they enforce it.
They're enforcing
who is?
it. AT&T.
AT&T's enforcing it, okay.
They can call the tow truck.
And she will, she had no problem doing that.
I just remember it was a question that you brought up when we were discussing the contract.
At this point, according to the bidding, so. If
It's-
we do it, you're gonna have to spend some money on some signs on it, correct?
Well, we happen to have a sign department, so.
To that point, she thought that if it's just, funny there, but, if that happens, liability's good.
No, I think that was a serious statement, Commissioner.
No.
That she would,
No,
they would be.
she was serious.
Yes.
She was serious about doing the tow truck. She said she had no problem.
Well, I would do that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's been done before, and she said she stood and watched those people. She told them, do not park there. So I'll tell her not to do that.
Yeah, but my suggestion would be not do it. I tried to cover by that by saying, look, if somebody's parking their parking place, it's okay to use one of ours, the other one's on the parking. We don't need parking.
So we can monitor it, we know.
No, I really don't think it's gonna be a problem.
Okay.
But if it does, we'll deal with it, but I would tell them, well, don't totally.
Yeah, okay.
Are we gonna number the spots and have corresponding numbers on stickers, or are you just gonna put our county lease parking?
We will number, that portion of the lot will be striped blue, totally different, and Nick, I've already spoken to him, he'll carry out a number sequence from there. And then if we ever restripe the rest of it for us, we'll just continue that sequence.
Okay. So, do you know when that'll be done? Because I told her August 1st, is that good?
I will visit with Mr. Ward and see where he stands. Sebastian, y'all have already cleared a lot, and it's
Yes, we swim.
Okay. Okay. Okay, I need a motion then.
We approve a written contract with AT&T for use of parking spaces.
So
I have a motion and a second, all in favor, raise your right hand. 4-0, thank you.
And Dave, if we can just get a copy of the final contract for our finals.
Sure, it'll be, if you still haven't thrown away your last one, last packet.
Just with signatures, like we had.
Yeah, all I'll have is the red, yeah, the only difference will be the signatures, so I'll send it by you. If you wanna look at it in the
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, number 14, local government corporations, to provide an update on the local government corporation, Commissioner Rea.
So there has been a lot of discussion, community involvement as it relates to the local government corporation. The biggest meeting, the most widely publicized meeting was held on July 1st at 10 o'clock in the Heritage Room at the Civic Center. There were hundreds upon hundreds of those that attended from a public setting, which I think was very encouraging because there were lots of questions. The whole day was really built around the premise of getting the new members of the city council where we are today and what brought us there. The meeting was an LGC meeting, and so we were really kind of hosting that, but those really in terms of discussion and bringing in new information were the new members of the city council. So everyone was present. It was a really good meeting. We had presenters from Center City, the Downtown Strategic Action Plan, Urban Design Standards, the proposed developers of the hotel spoke. Melissa Daly also spoke on some of the Tiger Grant applications, SPS, and the new developer that will be, well, the new business that will be working with the retail space for the bottom of the parking garage. So the whole day was really dedicated to level setting of where we are today. And good discussion, and it really did open public comment at the end. They really let every individual come up and speak, and Gary Pittner facilitated that. So those that did not see that, I encourage you to look. It was streamed online. It is being recorded. I know we had Potter County representation. I saw Jason there and some from the IT department. So I think it was good. I think it was very well prepared and really what we needed. As you know, those discussions continue to happen and will continue to happen. One of the items that I would like to see us work towards from a city and county level is really starting to look at some potential strategic planning. So it's something we talk about, but it's not anything that we have formally done about East and North Amarillo and what could those future infrastructure look like. And everything starts with the strategic plan. So how do we start to come together and maybe even cost share some of that to get a strategic plan on the books? So that was very good that I've heard the assistant city manager at least say we haven't done that well. We could do that better. Obviously, the big discussion point was the downtown ball field and whether it should go to a vote, what the city council will do. And so that is still open for debate and certainly out of my purview to make that decision. But one thing that I did ask is that we really do start working together, and it's something that we say kind of candidly, but I would really like to see us start to do that on paper and with the dollars, because we are talking about the same taxpayer. So from my perspective, I was very clear to say I could not speak on behalf of the entire commission, but I could speak on behalf of Precinct 2, and the old ball field and the new ball field are slated and in Precinct 2. I echoed that I supported downtown development. I think it goes without saying, we need that boost in our tax revenue. We'll see that soon during budget cycle. I also support a downtown venue of some type, but from my end, I would really like to see if the city and the county could work together to do something to the existing stadium, because it really is going to take a massive overhaul. I would guess roughly anywhere from 13 to 15 million if we were to use that same property. And I'm just kind of saying that candidly. So Mike, when you brought that up about an assessment, I think we're absolutely at a point in time where at least we should know that number. The new ball field is roughly 33 to 35 million is what's on the books today of what that would cost. So from the voters in, there was a lot of kind of back and forth. What I thought was really nice is there were, in terms of attendance, a lot of our millennials, as they're called. And so they were really kind of just young college kids coming up saying, I've never stood in the public like this, and I want to live here, and I want to do something, and I want it to be vibrant. So that was really kind of heartwarming that they were at least getting involved in the process, and so hopefully becoming voters soon. As we continue to meet, I'll bring it back to the court, but I never want to have any of that catch all by surprise, so I like to just put this agenda item on to make sure everybody is informed, know what I speak on behalf of Precinct 2, and open that transparency line.
Thank you. Under 15, Potter County projects, do you report various Potter County projects?
Just to make you aware of the elevator project, we are currently nearing the start date on it, the Santa Fe building. July the 15th, we will start staging and parts arrive. The 22nd is when we start the first elevator, car number 1. It will be down for 17 weeks. That'll take us to around November 27th. So each elevator after that will be 17 weeks. Judge Chandler, would you like to mention anything on strategic planning or where we stand?
Sure. Call me off guard there, Mike. We have been meeting regularly, and we do have a citizens committee on board, as you know. We have yet to get them all in the same place at the same time, and that seems to be a problem. We have 2 more meetings coming up towards the end of the month, and we have 2 members that are going to be absent on that. So we're having a hard time getting them all there. And I understand that some are taking trips and whatnot, but we're working towards a common goal. And we do have, I was going to talk to Carrie about this, we have the financial guy who's coming to talk to us. What's the date on that, 28th, 27th?
He'll do a conference call on 28th.
28th.
I believe he'll be here either the 11th.
Okay. And here's what we'd like to do, we would like to get with each of you one at a time on the 11th or 12th of August to go over the financial part of it before we start really talking about it.
Are any of those meetings, open to the public?
I'm sorry. So, do you have your calendars handy, because you can tell me right now, or can you tell me sometime today whether you'll be available the 11th or 12th? Or you can do it all one day, or just have to do it separate? Are you?
This is August, right?
Carrie, where should we meet with you in the Santa Fe? Okay.
So make sure it's available on those, which dates?
11th and 12th.
11th and 12th.
Check your calendar, 11th and 12th, that was, those financial.
The strategic plan?
So that's the plan so far. We've had really, really good input from the citizens. All 4 of them, one at a time, they have come and they like, I get the feel that they like what we're doing, what we're proposing, and so they're all in favor. So it's just getting it to the public in a timely manner and to avoid doing what the city just did. So we're just gonna have to be really, really transparent.
That's fine.
Okay, good.
Thanks.
So we'll set those up at 1 hour increments, think that's enough time?
11th and 12th.
It's okay, do you wanna do the 11th? Can we do all 3 of you? Okay. Okay, good.
Judge Chandler, let me make sure that room's not already reserved.
Okay. And if it is, we can be down here in the community.
We have set up another conference room at the Santa Fe directly east of there. This room will hold 20. So we've got 2 conference rooms there that we can start trying to hold meetings.
Okay, good. Okay.
Health projects, y'all seen on the vouchers, JP3, the buildings out there, we're at probably 92% complete. They hope to complete them this week, knowing that the metal has arrived in. Bushland Fire Station, 100%. I've been pulling punch list on it. The DHS property will start this coming week. Fairgrounds. Visited with Young and Associates and Basic IDIQ in order to establish the scope of work, in order to get a cost to present to the Fair Board, to where they can see what we're doing on the Baxter, Cody, and the food court. The food court is basically very simple. They're getting a new roof put on it. The Cody's a little more complex, and David, I'll get with you and let you know what those conversations was regarding how we pursue that, knowing that we could be replacing some structure beneath that roof system. Hopefully we'll have that within the next few weeks. Fire Station 3 project, we're working on 100% OPC and CD construction document design. That is slated to come to the Commissioners Court August the 10th, bring that project to y'all. And Santa Fe LED lighting project on top of the building, I made y'all aware of the issues that we were having up there. Dave Kemp was involved in a meeting with myself and the local contractors that performed the work in the supply house that supplied everything. So I invited Coloronics to attend that meeting. They did not show up. So Dave Kemp, through the county attorney's office, will issue a letter to them, I guess demanding that they replace the entire lighting system and see where we go from there.
So is any of it currently working at all?
It is working at times automatically, times we go up and we have to manually change it and manually set stuff. So we still have issues with that. They were willing to send out, I believe it was 5 fixtures to keep at the local supply house. If they went out, our local contractor would go down and pick them up and put them in, but we'd be paying the cost to do it. So if this lighting has to be replaced, that is where the problem lies with me. If they can give us new fixtures or just give us a complete reimbursement for what we spent on it, either way, we're probably gonna have to spend the money to redo some lighting on top of it.
And then Mike, as it relates to the fire station property that we'll get an update in August, is that also being included in the budget discussions that will happen in July? Because that will fall into the next year, okay. All right.
And we will start budget discussions in this court on the 27th.
It will be in this courtroom.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Number 16, road and bridge building repair to consider and act upon approving proposal number 031708 from Talon LPE for the repair of road and bridge building in the amount of $23,630.79, utilizing Bybor contract number 2012 Area 1 TAL. $10,000 is to be used from the road and bridge building maintenance fund and the remainder to be transferred from the road materials fund.
Good morning.
Good morning.
What this is, over the years, the overhead doors have taken a bunch of bumps and bruises, and it's causing the motors on the garage doors to work a little harder. So we're going through them a little faster than they should. And we're just asking that you approve this to transfer the funds also from the remaining funds from road materials so we can get this done. I want to do it now instead of wait for budget. That way we don't go through more garage doors, openers, should I say. And that's about it.
Is that satisfactory with you, Carrie? Okay.
Sebastian, that doesn't jeopardize the road materials fund if you're taking the remainder out. You're roughly taking close to 14,000 out.
Correct. No, it doesn't, because usually at the end of the year we have funds in there. We buy caliche and stuff like that with it. And right now we have a good amount of caliche, so it shouldn't affect anything towards the end.
Excuse me, Sebastian, did you have 23,870 figure?
That's correct. I forgot. We also have to add the new figures 23,870 because of some electrical that we have to move.
Okay, Mike, you reviewed the project. Okay, is there an opinion on it?
It definitely needs to be done.
Okay.
And I'd like to thank Mike. He's helped me a lot since I've taken over this position with good advice and helping me with stuff like this. So I do appreciate Mike, Ed. But thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Do I have a motion?
Move we approve proposal number 031708 for repair of road and bridge building, the amount of $23,870. Money's $10,000 coming from the road bridge building maintenance fund and the remainder transferred from the road materials.
Second.
Mercy be you. Yes. So we have a motion and second. All in favor, raise your hand. 4-0. Thank you, Sebastian. Number 17, JP3 garage building repair to consider and act upon repairing 2 garage doors at JP3 as a result of wind damage. Funding to be determined.
This is to repair the 2 garage doors that were damaged by the wind, and also to do some upgrades on the other doors and putting some wind struts. to hopefully prevent that from happening again whenever we get that 9-mile-an-hour wind through there. And so conveniently, Basic IDIQ is already on site replacing the roof, and they've already replaced 3 of the doors, so we just asked them to give us a change order to go ahead and replace the other 2 doors and paint them to match. And so that's what this proposal's for. This may be a little high, this proposal in front of you. It may actually come in a little lower than that, but it won't come in higher than what you have in front of you. So I'm asking you to approve that. Oh, and to determine where the money's going to come from, I guess that's the same.
That was my question, where's the money coming from?
Well, David and I have discussed it, and if we use the depreciation allowance that we put in that just from insurance, we're about $200,000 to do it. So if you want to take out insurance claims.
Insurance claim.
Okay. We're in good shape.
I make a motion that we approve repairing 2 garage doors at JP number 3 as a result of wind damage, funds to come from insurance claims account.
Second. And motion is second, all in favor, raise your hand. 4-0. Number 18, ballot processing agreement. To consider and act upon approving the included agreement for paper ballot processing services with Election Systems and Software, LLC.
Melanne approached me about putting this on, but it's an agreement to do her mailing ballots. Currently, we process those in-house, and it takes a significant amount of her people's time and effort to get those processed. And so the vendor that we use to make our ballots and to do our you'll have to explain it more to me, but they also have a service where they can do the mailing of the ballots for us, and so that's what this agreement's for.
Now, David and I ran costs, just the hard costs for doing ballots by mail, and if you add in the cost of the ballots, including the cost of the ballots that are wasted because we don't know where anybody's gonna vote, all of the envelopes, which there's 4 or 5 envelopes in there, plus all of the inserts that go in there, the hard cost of the county for each ballot by mail is $1.65. And this particular service, they're gonna charge us $1.75. And so that doesn't include our manpower.
It's worth it.
Yeah, and you really, the growing trend right now is for the PACs to be mailing out pre-populated postcards to the voters, and they just sign it. And so our number of ballots by mail is ballooning, and we kind of anticipate that with the 2016 presidential year, that number is gonna be significant. I believe it was over 2,000 just for the gubernatorial. And so we believe that the presidential is going to be even more significant. So this, I want to try it in November, because that will be a lighter load, just to make sure that their system works like they say it's going to work. And if it does, then of course we would continue with that. If it looks like we can do it better ourselves, I do have to put some of my staff on for extra hours as it is right now, just to handle the ballot by mail load. And so, to me, it's budget neutral.
Where are you proposing, Melinda, that these funds come from in terms of, I know you have several accounts, and so I'm running through them in my mind. Where are you, this isn't general operating, I'm assuming?
Yes, it is. It's been $1,500, our general elections account, because, what we pay for ballots, what we pay for envelopes has been in there anyway. We just won't be purchasing as many of them. We will still have to purchase some ballots here because of duplications that happen, or special ballots that happen, and for limited ballots that will be available at the early voting site. But it will significantly reduce the number we order. Because ES&S prints the ballots, the way that they can do this is they print the ballot as the ballot needs to go into ballot envelope. So they're not housing them on a shelf. Their computer is taking it and printing the ballot for 121 when it's needed.
You only mail out those at request, though, is that right?
That is correct. Ballots by mail at this time, the person has to apply for a ballot by mail.
And will if this is outsourced, if you will it also include a contact information? I know sometimes people get it in the mail and then they call in because they have a question. They don't know who sent it to them, is basically what.
Well, what they're going to be receiving from them is not the application. They're going to be receiving from these folks their ballot. And yes, there will be the same information on the inside that they're receiving now from our office. So where they get the letter from the Secretary of State, and we usually have our own little letter in there that has some reminders to make, I'm not saying the Secretary of State is complicated, but we try to simplify it for people. We're allowed to put up to 3 pieces of paper in there in addition to the ballot. And so, yes, what it won't, and it will still have my return address on there. And, but there'll be something on there that makes it look, that is a pre-sorted postage, because they're gonna they will do bulk mailing for this, and that's really the only change that the voter would notice.
And this is the question, the commission observes and those that are balloted by mail now.
Yes.
Is there any way to tell, or can you tell as far as the demographics of that, the age categories are more requesting for that? Is it basically the seniors, or is it?
Yes, well, the person that is applying for a ballot by mail must be 65 or older, or they're gonna be out of the county during the elections, or they're claiming a disability, or they're in jail but still eligible to vote. And so, but it's basically the over 65.
Carrie, do you see any concern with the budget? I think, I'm a little nervous just about the budget because we don't know the numbers just yet of how many are gonna go out. And I would agree with Melinda about the 2016 election. That will probably be an upsurge because that was a very effective strategy used by the PACs. So they just pre-printed and mailed out huge amounts locally. I mean, this happened in Potter County and said, you're eligible to get a vote by mail, sign here, and ask for this type of ballot, and sent it in. And so it was effective, but it cost us locally, Potter County, money. So I was just interested in your thoughts. Would you also consider this budget neutral? You would as well? Okay.
Yes, yes. It's gonna come out of next year's budget. We've got some things that we want to do just to make sure we have all of our ducks in a row as we round the corner to November, because we can start mailing out ballots as of September the 3rd, 60 days ahead, if the ballot has been approved and prepared and everything else. So there will be some of that that will happen in this fiscal year.
So these local political action committees will actually send the ballot to the person?
No. Well, no, most of these come, first of all, statewide or nationwide. But what they did last year, one thing that they did do, they can't send a real ballot. We're the only people who can send ballot. But as part of their pre-populated mailers, they did send out ballot suggestions that told the voter how they would recommend, this particular group would recommend them to vote. The challenge for me there is when they mail in their pre-populated thing, the only name on those sometimes is mine, and I didn't do it. So we do spend a lot of time talking to seniors about this part of it is valid, this other part is advertising.
I'm sure it's
by somebody else. Yes, it is, but it's still legal.
Yeah, we saw a lot of that judge locally on the governor race and pre-picking someone's political affiliation. And so then asking for this type of ballot on the races. And so, yeah, it was really kind of pre-populating who they should select, and that happened.
It did, and particularly the assisted living and some of the nursing homes, that was missed, and sometimes when the voter got their ballot, it was not for the party of their choice. And it was just something they missed as they were doing that. So we are going to be doing, after the November election, we're going to try to invite our assisted living leaders and our nursing home leaders to come so we can talk to them about working with the elderly when they receive these types of mailings.
I make a motion that we approve the agreement for paper ballot processing services with Election System and Software, LLC.
I have a motion and second. All in favor, raise your right hand.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, number 19, formal proposal number 1108-15, employee benefit plans, compare report and pay on. Consider and act upon the following award recommendations and authorize the county judge to sign all final agreements as they become available. Number 1, award formal proposal number 1108-15 for medical, third-party administrator, and pharmacy. Okay.
Good morning again.
Want to do these separate, I'm assuming?
Do we need to take them separately?
Because it's different companies.
Okay. I will forewarn you that because of some of the contingencies in the proposals, they're bundled with other lines of coverage. So there's some consideration on each line with regard to the bundling required on the proposal. So we'll address those as we go through it. On June 30th, the Insurance Advisory Committee did meet to discuss the multi-line group RFP. And during that discussion, specifically with the medical and prescription coverage, that committee discussed, we had 6 respondents to the RFP for medical and prescription coverage. There were 2 respondents that were considered unresponsive because they did not complete and return all portions of the RFP as requested. 2 respondents came to the top as the top forerunners for that particular coverage. They were IMS Optum and TAP Blue Cross Blue Shield. We've had previous experience with both respondents, and both have provided excellent service in the past. I have provided a copy of that full evaluation. The first page is the medical and prescription coverage recommendation. You'll note on that recommendation page, the first column shows the current coverage as it exists today. Then there is, I have highlighted both 2 front runners, TAC and Blue Cross Blue Shield, in order to allow you a side-by-side comparison of those 2 respondents. I would like to draw your attention to the suggested funding towards the bottom. It's the highlighted line across the bottom there. That's the part that we would be required to fund for our insurance. That's the suggested funding amount. That consists of expected claims, fixed cost, and any laser cost if recommended by the carrier. The Insurance Advisory Committee ultimately recommends going with TAC Blue Cross Blue Shield. The reason for that, you'll notice that the IMS Optum proposal has a little less suggested funding on that highlighted line, $3,573.65 to be exact difference, which was a very minimal difference. However, there are some additional considerations. That's just in the suggested funding alone. Over on the right-hand side of that page, you'll see some considerations listed there. There are additional considerations like the runoff liability factor that would be required should we move from TAC. Also, TAC did come in with a bundling contingency where the TAC quote assumes bundling with Voya life insurance. Voya life insurance is a little, just very slightly higher, but still coming in over $3,000 less than current carrier. So it's less than current, but it's a little bit higher than some of the other quotes, but it is a contingency, a bundling contingency with TAC. So we talked about that as well. Also, one thing I really want to draw your attention to is that TAC in the past, for 2014, has paid $66,912 in Affordable Care Act fees that were not included in their bid or proposal last year, and they were not required. It's just something that the TAC board voted to pick up the cost for their ASO and pool crews. So we were a beneficiary of $66,912 in fees that they paid for us during 2014. They also have already approved, should they be the selected carrier, they are scheduled for a payment of $47,824 in 2015 in healthcare reform or Affordable Care Act fees that are already scheduled with award. We also considered an additional implementation credit that IMS was offering of $19,608. That was actually the first 2 months of admin fees. So all of those things considered, it was the recommendation of the Insurance Advisory Committee to go with TAC Blue Cross Blue Shield for medical and prescription coverage for the 2015-16 year. I do want to draw your attention to the fact that I have removed Blue Care Advisor and Health Condition Management from this recommendation for the sake of being able to compare apples to apples. When we set funding and premium levels, I would recommend that we maintain and keep that particular coverage, but for the sake of this comparison, it has been removed. So when we consider funding, provided that is the suggestion or recommendation of the Insurance Advisory Committee, that will be added back in, and it amounts to about $30,000, $30,643 for that. So there will be a little bit of difference there when we start doing funding. Again, you have the full evaluation in your packet. Do you have any additional questions or any questions on the medical prescription coverage?
I just wanted to make sure I'm following you. The recommendation of the insurance committee is, for the most part, to stay with current benefits, except for the life, which is going with Voya because that's packaged with TAC.
Right, and this is just the medical only.
Right.
And then we'll actually talk about life in just a moment because we're taking them separately.
Okay.
But life is packaged or bundled with TAC.
Questions? We want to vote on that award right now, the first one?
Yes, I believe so.
I make a motion that we approve formal proposal number 1108-15 for medical third-party administrator and pharmacy per the recommendation of the Insurance Advisory Committee to TAC Blue Cross Blue Shield, Texas.
Second.
Have a motion and second, all in favor, raise your hand.
Yes, I did. Had it down too quick.
Okay. Two on this is the award formal proposal number 1108-15 for basic life, dependent life, voluntary life, and ADD. What is voluntary life?
Voluntary life is the extra life that employees have the option to take out, and they pay those premiums themselves. Again, the TAC proposal came in bundled with Voya life insurance. We do have a 3-year rate guarantee on that. Voya came in just slightly higher than some of the other proposals at $22,488.72 for the county cost. You'll see that on the second page of your packet, which is the recommendation page for life, dental, and vision. Voya did come in slightly higher than some of the other carriers, but due to bundling concerns, all the way across the board, it is the recommendation of the committee to move and to recommend Voya for life insurance. You'll note that although they did come in slightly higher than some of the other carriers, they're still coming in at $3,099 less than current. So there is a cost savings there over the current year. The voluntary life rates are very slightly higher in the AD&D. Any questions on life insurance?
I move we award a formal bid of 110815 for basic life, dependent life, and voluntary life to Voya.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor, raise your hand. 4-0. And number 3, award formal proposal number 1108-15 for dental and vision.
Also on that same page, you'll find the recommendation for dental and vision. The first column again represents the current carriers. You'll notice on that page that we had only 2 carriers that bid the same annual maximum that we have currently. The annual maximum benefit for dental is $5,000 currently. MetLife, Carrier 1, and Carrier 4, Lincoln, both bid $5,000 annual maxes. The others bid $3,000. The rates, premium rates, are all paid 100% by the employee for the dental coverage, and the premium rates remain the same as this year, offered both by MetLife and Lincoln. Because of previous history and the $5,000 annual maximum and the rate pass that MetLife took, it is the recommendation of this committee to remain with MetLife for the dental insurance. Below that, you'll see the vision insurance, and I found it very interesting that out of all of the respondents on vision, we had 4 out of the 5 respondents that bid VSP, which is our current vision provider. The rates were all a little bit different between the 4 VSP respondents. Carrier 4, Lincoln, bid Lincoln Vision Connect, and those benefits were slightly reduced over from the VSP. Therefore, it is the recommendation of this committee to recommend MetLife for the vision through VSP as the carrier for vision insurance for this up and coming year. You'll also note that all of those numbers for the vision insurance are coming in less than our current numbers, so they're at a savings for the county all the way across the board. The recommendations of this committee will result in a savings for the Potter County portion of health, dental, and life of $16,005.60. Over current, $16,005.60. Yes.
I make a motion that we award formal proposal 1108-15 for dental and vision per the recommendation of the Insurance Advisory Committee, the dental to MetLife and vision to VSP Direct.
No,
Oh, I'm
it's,
sorry, vision to MetLife / VSP.
right.
I second that.
Okay, I have a motion and a second, all in favor, raise your hand. 4-0. Thank you, Kate.
Okay,
Thank you.
and thank you to the committee, Commissioner, I know you said on that, Commissioner.
Okay, number 20, formal bid number 1110-15 janitorial supplies to consider and act upon the award of formal bid number 111015 janitorial supplies to the various listed vendors with the lowest and best bids to draw for the award of tie bids on line item number 6 and number 10.
This is our annual bid we put out every year for paper, plastic, and janitorial supplies. You've got two documents in front of you. One's the award recommendation and the other one's actually the tabulation, so you can see the bids of all the companies that bid on each line item. We've gone through and done a unit cost, and we're recommending to award to the lowest unit costs for each of the listed vendors. We did have a tie on two line items like we normally do on this, and so I'm gonna need someone to draw a number out. The line items that were tied on were number 6 and number 10, and the same two companies tied both times. So I've assigned number 1 to Miller Paper Company and number 2 to Wagner Supply. I just need someone to draw it here, so I can decide. So it's number 2, so we'll give that to Wagner Supply Company, line item number 6 and number 10.
Okay, any questions?
Mike, are you satisfied with, I know sometimes we go to low bid, but in terms of quality and working with these vendors?
Nick has reviewed everything with David's office.
Okay, we need a motion, please.
I move that we approve the awarding of formal bid 1110-15 janitorial supplies to the various listed vendors with the lowest and best bids.
Have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second, all in favor, raise your hand. 4-0. Number 21, employment items to consider and act upon the following employment items. Extension office to the hiring of Austin Boyles as a replacement for the extension agent. Nathan Carr, effective June 15th, 2015. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion that we approve the employment items as presented.
Second. We have a motion and a second, all in favor, raise your hand. 4-0. Our jail count today is 445, 82 of those are female, and we have 0 in children. Do we have any insurance items, Dave?
Nothing to report.
No executive session, any agenda items for next time?
Just a couple of quick updates, Judge, if I can. I wanted to let the court know that Commissioner Kelly and I met with Kay for the Time Clock Plus and those choosing to not participate and looking at their current practices. So we had kind of round 1 of those meetings. We're slated to have a second meeting. Dave will join us to start to look at the current policy and dive into that. So I did want to just inform the court that that meeting did take place. And then as it relates to the 4-H position at the extension office, there is a round of interviews occurring this Thursday. So hopefully we'll have that position filled. I have been visiting with Elizabeth because her Prairie View position, she moved. So now that's vacant and it has not been posted yet. So we'll keep watching.
That's all, we are adjourned, thank you very much.